Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. No intro music. I am Cage. I am here on a Monday. And usually, right, we'll talk about the Rings of Power on a Friday and then release it. And so we had decided to do it today, Chair and I. Um, but he didn't have time to watch the episode on Thursday, and I also had like a really late work event on Thursday, so we're like, okay, we'll just do it on Monday. And so here I am, all alone on a Monday, because I have some news, and it's not great news, but it is what it is, and you have to respect people's decisions, and you have to adapt and overcome and adjust and move on with life. Um, and Chair has decided that podcasting isn't something he's really interested in anymore. So the Nerd Ledger right now is just me. Um, and, Chair has his own personal reasons, and I respect that. And, we're still friends, and we'll still talk, and we'll still be pallies and whatnot. But just not interested in podcasting anymore, which is perfectly fine. So I will have to decide what I want to do with the podcast. If I want to continue it, get guests every now and then, or if I want to start something completely new. I just have to figure that out. But today I will do what I was intending to do, and that is talk about The Rings of Power, episode 8 of season 2. Because The Rings of Power, it's been pretty good in season 2. It's been pretty good. And episode 7 was a capstone of that goodness. Episode 8 for me was far less enjoyable, and I think there are, in my opinion, far too many contrivances in the episode that make little to no sense. There are good things as well. There are things that are just generally annoying to me, and I think in a lot of ways the writing really lets this episode down. I'll get into all of that. As a whole, I think season 2 was an improvement on season 1. I think that the fan response is much more positive, and I think that if the show gets renewed for season 3, apparently it's very close to getting renewed for season 3, I think that I hope that it will continue to find its stride and get better. There are still things that are quite annoying to me in this show, but I will say that of all the criticisms and the people who get upset that the show takes some liberties, and frequently it's said that how arrogant of them to think that they can improve upon Tolkien, and I don't think that's it. I think there are a couple things, right? One, by nature, they have to make a lot of changes because of what they have the rights to, and I know they gained some additional rights for season 2, or permissions, but they inevitably have to change bits and pieces of the Legendarium, right? On top of that, they were always going to. That's what an adaptation is, and I know that there's always this discussion around changes made in adaptations, and I frequently bring up the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy because he makes a lot of changes. He makes a lot of choices that many people had problems with back then, and many more people would have problems with if those movies came out today. Because everyone's a Tolkien purist now, and everybody's a Tolkien expert, and everybody knows everything there is to know about Tolkien and all his works and his intentions and everything he ever wanted. But in spite of all of that, of course they're going to make changes because these are people who view themselves as creatives. These are people that are writers and they have aspirations. And even though I don't believe they're necessarily saying we're going to improve upon Tolkien, they're going to make changes to the story to fit the story that they're telling, because they're obviously compressing a timeline, which means there have to be changes, which opens up for what some would consider interesting creative opportunities. And some of the things they do are interesting and creative. I get the argument. I get the idea that, well, Tolkien laid it out very clearly, the events and this and that, and I agree for the most part. But I also think that as a writer, as a person who's creating something, adapting something for television, you want to keep people on their toes, right? You don't want your viewers to just know everything that's going to happen because they read the books and everything like that, right? And the casual fan, the person who hasn't read everything by Tolkien, they'd be surprised regardless. But the people who have read Tolkien, it's difficult because the writers want you to be surprised. But the problem with that is people who are very familiar with the source material expect things to happen, and when they don't, they get disappointed because their expectations aren't met. So it's a difficult thing to balance. And I think the show's done an okay job of it. Yeah, there are some changes. Yes, things don't always work the way you expect them to, but largely, right? If you're looking at the events of episode 8, there can't be many complaints about the changes to the story, right? Like, at least the story of the Siege of Eregion, because sure, Adar is there, whatever. But if you look at the events of the story, Sauron kills Celebrimbor, shoots him with arrows, right? That's one of the events. Yep, that happened. The dwarves come and secure the retreat or release of the remaining few elves. That happened. And the elves, as they're fleeing, find the Valley of Imladris, where later Elrond will establish Rivendell. Sorry, spoiler warning if you haven't watched the episode, but you should know that by now. So those events are largely the events, right? So if those are the events you're expecting, you're not necessarily disappointed. However, there are so many little things within all of that people are maybe understandably upset at or dislike the change. So the episode really starts with the dwarves, and I think the dwarves are some of the most universally loved characters in the show. The acting is always great. Durin and Durin are great together. There's a lot of great chemistry on screen there. And so it's a very nice entry because we have the older Durin, King Durin the third, who is delving deeper. He's mining, and his son comes to stop him and say, hey, you got to take the ring off and all this stuff. And he doesn't want to take the ring off. Prince Durin asks him if he remembers when he was a wee lad, and they would arm wrestle, and his dad would let him slowly raise his hand up so that he would believe that he had a chance of winning, that he was actually getting stronger, just to lose. And he was saying that meant a lot to him. And then he continues to dig. He doesn't give a shit, the dad, and he finds this deep cavern full of mithril, and here comes the Balrog, which looked really cool. Something that always inevitably gets argued about with Balrogs is, do Balrogs have wings? And anybody with reading comprehension knows that Balrogs do not have wings, as described in the Fellowship of the Ring, the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. The passage says, and I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect of smoke spreading from wall to wall like great wings, or something like that. and that's a simile, which means that it's comparing two unlike things. So it's comparing smoke and wings, and he has smoke and not wings. And the Balrog in here has smoky wings. So not really wings, but more or less what Tolkien described, which is another little detail that tells me that despite everything, despite all the criticism, I do believe the writers and the showrunners actually know Tolkien and love his works. And of course, they're making changes, which makes people think that they don't like his work. But I think they do genuinely like his work. So that stuff was all great. What else? Do I need to do the Aragon stuff now? Or I'll skip to the other stuff that annoys me. Isildur. This show doesn't tell you in any way, shape, or form why you should care about Isildur. Numenor is just full of dumb fucks. Like all of them. Like the people of Numenor are stupid as fuck. Kremen and his dad Alfarazon are stupid as fuck. Elendil is falling in love with Muriel, and she's stupid as fuck, and so is he, kind of. She does give him the Narsil in this episode, Narsil, which eventually he takes to the last alliance of elves and men, and it gets shattered by Sauron, and then Isildur takes it up and cuts the ring from the hand of Sauron, and then the shards of Narsil pass down to Aragorn. It gets reforged in Rivendell and becomes Andorel, Flame of the West. So we do see Narsil, as it was called then, and the future sword of Andoril. We see that in this episode. So there's that. And again, I'm not a fan of the stuff they're doing with Numenor right now. I do believe it could get better, but we'll see what happens. So later in the episode, Kremen shows up in Pelargir. Isildur is still doing this weird thing, waffling back and forth with Estrid. Estrid's like, I have a betrothed, but I don't love him. And then, they make out, and I don't care. And he's like, come to Numenor with me. And she's like, okay, fuck my betrothed. Yeah, and then Kremen shows up, and he just straight up spills all the beans. He's like, your dad is wanted Isildur because fuck you, and have fun, go back to Numenor, and fuck all these people. We ain't giving them shit. They need to go get us some timber, and they're lesser people than us because we are Numenorians. And so, yeah, it's just another thing I just don't care about. Gandalf. Grand Elf Gandalf. He doesn't look like an elf, but they call him an elf. He's grand and tall, so they call him Grand Elf, which is how he gets his name, Gandalf, as he rescues Nori and Poppe and all the stores, except for all the ones that get killed by the giant boulders from the Dark Wizard, who I believe they really want you to think is Sauron, and he probably is Sauron, which I hate. Just like they really, really, really beat you over the head with the fact that this is Gandalf. And guess what? It was Gandalf. So there's that whole thing going on. But yeah. And then all the Aragon stuff. So the Celebrimbor scenes, still some of the best scenes in the entire show. Charlie Vickers as Anatar, a.k.a. Sauron, a.k.a. Halbrand. He's phenomenal. Great. Love him. But unfortunately, you know who I don't really like in this show is Morfydd Clark's Galadriel. I really want to. I just don't think she's very good as Galadriel. Like, the faces she makes, the things she says, it a lot of times it makes me cringe. I'm not a fan of her portrayal of Galadriel. I'm not a fan of the writing of Galadriel. I don't know. I feel like we've seen what a proper Galadriel looks like. Unfortunately, with I shouldn't say unfortunately, but fortunately, we've seen what a brilliant, what a proper version of Galadriel looks like, and that is Cate Blanchett. the look, the portrayal of the character, the way she speaks. And maybe it's just because that's the reference point in live action that we have for Galadriel, but to me, that is the reference point. That is just what it is. Like, in my mind, when I'm reading The Lord of the Rings, she fits the bill, and Morfydd Clark kind of doesn't. And it's not because, the way she looks. It's just she's very small. The way her face moves, like she's not Galadriel to me. And I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that. I think Gil-galad has gotten much better when he's not being the high douchebag that he was portrayed as in every other episode before episode 7, when he finally showed up with Aeglos, his spear, and started fucking chopping heads off and shit. Arondir died. He died. Bro, he died. He died. I'm pretty sure the other guy, the guy who was waiting for the dwarves, also died. But guess what? They're both just perfectly fine in this episode. Like nothing happened. Brother was stabbed through the chest with a full sword, and he's fine. Hey, nothing wrong with that guy. And Cher did have the theory that in this episode we would see Galadriel heal him with her ring or whatever. Didn't see that. Didn't see any of that. We did see Galadriel get healed by her own ring from Elrond and Gil-galad, because Galadriel was fighting Anatar, and she jumped off a giant cliff and of course survived, because people don't die in this show. They just seem like they should die, and then they don't. Except for if you're an actor and you go on to not want to act anymore, then they'll kill your character for you. But no one else really. And Valandil, he died. He died. He got a sword through the chest and he died. But not Arondir. We also get another shout out of Anarion in this episode. Yay, Anarion, the brother of Isildur, the other son of Elendil, who just gets shafted every opportunity people get, because we don't care about Anarion. We only care about Elendil, guys. We don't care about Anarion. He's the second Argonath statue. Fuck it, let's replace him with Elendil, guys. Nobody cares about Anarion. But he got a shout out again. Manwë gets more shout outs. Adar, wearing Galadriel's ring, is healed. He is restored, because the rings do restore. The rings, actually not restore, but they preserve. And so we get to see what he looked like as an elf. We don't get to learn his name. All the fan theories that he was Celeborn are dumb, because he wasn't ever going to be Celeborn, aka Teleporno, because Galadriel knows what Celeborn looks like. She believes him to be dead, though. I'm pretty sure that was what we learned from season 1. She believes Celeborn is dead, and then she falls in love with Sauron. Adar is like, let's work together, Galadriel, because all of a sudden we want to work together, even though we've been actively working against each other. But now let's work together. And then his orcs show up and betray him as expected, and he gets murdered. And then Anatar shows up and he's like, "Give me the 9 rings, Galadriel, because I hate you and you love me. Can I have my rings, please?" And then we get to see him get in her head, and she sees him as all these different versions of different people, including Celebrimbor and a version of herself, I believe, and Halbrand. And yeah, they're fighting, and then she gets stabbed with the crown of Morgoth, and keeps fighting, and then jumps off a big cliff. And she's perfectly fine, and Anatar doesn't think it's a good idea to go down there and take her ring off her, even though he could have. He just walks away and then kills an orc, and yeah, all that stuff happens. So what else happened in this episode? Let's see. At the end, yeah, they find Imladris. There's not much more to say about it than that. They find Imladris and have a rousing speech. Galadriel also quotes Celebrimbor about light defeating darkness, not strength defeating darkness. Yeah, I think that's it. Eregion, Pelargir, Gandalf, and whatever that other thing is, the dwarves. Not just Pelargir, but Numenor as well. So, yeah. I thought this episode was not. I don't know if like we came off such a high with episode 7 that episode 8 just feels like a letdown to me, but it didn't feel like a grandiose finale. It just kind of felt underwhelming, and a lot of bits of it are pretty annoying. I hope that the Dark Wizard is not Sauron. Saruman. But most likely it will be. I did see a theory going around. I don't know if it's going around. I saw one person's theory that maybe it is Saruman, and then he dies or whatever in a battle with Gandalf, and he gets brought back as Saruman the White. But I think that's a bad theory because it doesn't make sense to me. What else? I don't really know what else to say about this episode overall. I think it just wasn't that great, but I do think again that season 2 was a massive step up from season 1. Visually, both seasons are very beautiful, but it takes more than beautiful shots to make a good show. And I just think that season 2, story-wise, was much better. Acting-wise, was much better. I mean, again, heavily carried with Celebrimbor and Sauron and Atar. They really carried this season. And I do have a prediction for season 3 because, again, compressed timeline, but part of that compressed timeline is a prediction. I think there will be a time jump. From season 2 to season 3. I don't know how long it'll be. It's difficult. I would think maybe 100 years is fair. Numenorians live a long time, so 100 years, a lot could happen, and maybe 50 years, who knows? But you need time for. It depends what they want to show. Do they want to show Sauron making the One Ring, which they could do before a time jump, giving out the 9, corrupting men, which they're great kings of men that he corrupts. Do we see that? Do we want to see that? Could we see that and then have a time jump? I think in season 3, if there is a season 3, we'll also see Sauron taken to Numenor, whether he's captured or not, the way he is in the story. Remains to be seen. Maybe he'll just go there of his own free will and be welcomed with open arms by Alfarazon. Alfarazon did see him in the Palantir, so you never know. Will we see the destruction of Numenor at the end of that season? The reason why I predict a time jump is because I think they want to build for that last alliance of elves and men kind of thing and see that massive battle, the Dagor Lad. In the story it takes years. Like it's a very long battle. Compressed timeline, obviously maybe we don't have to wait the 2,000 years or what, or 1,000, 1,500 years that it's supposed to be between now and then. That's also why Gandalf's here when he shouldn't be. That's also why the Numenorians and these specific Numenorians are here at this time in this timeline before the One Ring is even made. We'll have to see what they do. Those are just some of my predictions. Some of them. So I don't know. There's a lot as a fan of Tolkien that I look forward to potentially seeing, but I also go in with the understanding that things will change. Inevitably, they will change. And I appreciate the work that was done on season 2 to make it more engaging, to improve upon what we got in season 1. I just think it was much better. And yeah, there were some, the episodes. Overall, it was much better. So I think that's all I have to say, guys. That's all. eventually I'll talk about Agatha all along. We're 4 episodes in. No spoilers. Okay, one spoiler. No spoilers. I think I'll talk about it with probably with someone, either MJ if she wants to talk about it when it's all over, or Phoenix. I know she's been watching it, or she watched the first 4 episodes recently. So one of them maybe wants to talk about it with me, and then also Joker 2. I didn't see it. I've seen a lot of bad things written about it, but maybe I'll see it at some point, and if you'd like me to talk about it, I can. Venom 3 also comes out this month. I was going to go see it opening night, but I actually have a concert to go to on that night, so I will not be seeing it opening night. So yeah. See. The problem is, right, if I don't see things opening night, then I don't know if I'll see them because, there's already stuff out there about them, and I don't like going into movies when there's already stuff out there about them. But who knows? I probably still will. I like to form my own opinions. So, but yeah, I couldn't see Joker opening night because I had a work event. I had a charity event to go to, so I wasn't able to go to see Joker on that night, even though I had planned to. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. You can like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, do all those things, and let me know how you feel. If you have ideas for the future of this podcast, if you think I should continue it, if you think I should just start something fresh and new, if you would like me to talk about other things, just let me know. I have a lot of ideas. It's just a matter of executing them. And again, I like to have someone here with me instead of me just talking to myself, because I like other people's perspectives. I like to, be challenged. I like to have a conversation, because to me, that's what podcasting is. That's what I enjoy about podcasting. That's the reason I started podcasting a decade ago with my good pal Captain Hot Sauce. He and I started a podcast, and essentially the idea was we go to the comic book store every week and have these conversations about the shows that are out. Arrow at the time was one of our favorites, and The Flash had just started, and Amazing Spider-Man 2 had come out that year, and we just like to talk to each other. We'd go to the comic book store, we'd talk to the guys who worked there, all this stuff. Like, we had these conversations all the time, and so I was like, well, we already have these conversations, why not just record them as a podcast? And so that's what it kind of became, and that's what I like, is just conversational, not like super structured or anything. Like, it can be structured. It can be like, okay, now we're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about this, but it needs to feel like an authentic conversation. You need to be okay with tangents and things like that. And so those are the kind of conversations I like to have. It's just conversations that you would have with a friend or another fan, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I've podcasted for as long as I have, is just an outlet, a way to have these conversations that I'm having anyway, just record them. So yeah, any ideas, send them my way. Much love. See you next time. Bye.